Subscribe to UK fines alerts right now. I just need 100 subscribers from this video, so if this helped you even a little, hit that subscribe button and let us make it happen together. You are driving down the motorway, traffic is moving, everything feels normal, and then, out of nowhere, a fine lands through your letterbox. No police, no blue lights, no warning. Just a notice of intended prosecution with your name on it and penalty points waiting to be added to your license. This is happening to thousands of UK drivers right now, and the frightening part is that most of them had absolutely no idea they were breaking the law. Not because they were reckless, not because they were speeding recklessly or driving dangerously, but because the rules on smart motorways have changed and nobody told them. Britain's smart motorway network is expanding, cameras are getting smarter, enforcement is getting tougher. And the government has made it crystal clear that ignorance of the new rules is not a defence. If you drive on a motorway in the UK, whether it is the M1, the M6, the M25, or any other major route, what you are about to hear could save your driving licence. Stay with me, because today we are going over 5 new smart motorway rules that are now active across the UK. These are not rumours, these are not proposals, these are live, enforceable changes that are catching drivers out every single week. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what they are, how they work, and how to make sure you never fall on the wrong side of them. Let us get into it. Rule 1. All lane running and the end of the hard shoulder. The first rule, and arguably the most important, is the enforcement surrounding all lane running motorways, also known as ALR motorways. On these stretches of road, the traditional hard shoulder has been permanently converted into a live running lane. That means all 4 lanes, including what used to be the hard shoulder, are now active traffic lanes that you are expected to use and obey. Here is where drivers are getting caught out. On all lane running motorways, the left-hand lane, the one that was once a hard shoulder, is only open to traffic when the overhead gantry signs show a speed limit or a green arrow. If that lane's gantry sign is blank, or if it shows a red X, that lane is closed, full stop. Driving in a lane marked with a red X is now one of the most commonly enforced smart motorway offences in England and Wales. Cameras mounted on gantries capture your vehicle, your speed, and your number plate the moment you cross into a closed lane. You will receive a fixed penalty notice through the post, typically a £100 fine and 3 penalty points on your licence. If it goes to court, that fine can rise to £2,500. Thousands of drivers make this mistake every month. Many assume the red X means slow down or be cautious. It does not. It means the lane is closed and you must not enter it under any circumstances. The rule has not changed dramatically, but enforcement has. Cameras on newly upgraded sections of the M1, the M6, and the M25 are now operating at full capacity, and police forces have confirmed they are actively reviewing footage. Do not assume a quiet motorway at 3 AM means nobody is watching. The cameras never sleep. What you must do is check every overhead gantry sign before you change lanes. If you see a red X above any lane, treat it as a solid wall. Do not enter it. Do not drift into it. Do not use it even briefly to overtake or pass a slower vehicle. Rule 2. Mandatory compliance with variable speed limits. Variable speed limits have been part of smart motorways for years, but what has changed is how they are enforced and what counts as a violation. Variable speed limits are the speed limits displayed on the overhead gantry signs, and they can change in real time based on traffic conditions, incidents, or weather. You might be driving at 70 miles per hour and suddenly the gantry ahead shows 50. That new limit is legally binding the moment it appears on the sign above your lane. Here is the rule that is catching drivers out. Under current enforcement guidelines, exceeding a variable speed limit by any amount is treated the same as exceeding a permanent speed limit. There is no buffer. There is no informal tolerance built into the law itself. The speed cameras on smart motorways are calibrated to detect violations, and camera thresholds are set by individual police forces, but the legal limit is the limit on the sign. More importantly, the enforcement zone has extended. Average speed cameras, also known as specs cameras, are now active on longer stretches of upgraded motorways. These are not just point cameras that catch you at one spot. They calculate your average speed over a distance of sometimes several miles. So slowing down when you see a camera and then speeding back up does absolutely nothing. The system already has you. If your average speed over a monitored section exceeds the variable limit shown during that journey, you will receive a notice of intended prosecution. The standard penalty is a £100 fine and 3 penalty points. But if you are significantly over the limit, particularly in a reduced speed zone, you can face higher fines, a speed awareness course, or in serious cases, a court summons. What you must do is treat every variable speed limit sign as you would a permanent speed limit sign, because legally it is. When a gantry drops the limit to 40 or 50, adjust your speed immediately and maintain it through the zone until you see the limit change again or the national speed limit sign appears. Rule 3. Emergency refuge areas and when you must use them. This is a rule that could literally save your life, and it is also a rule that is increasingly being enforced in a way that surprises drivers. On all lane-running motorways where the hard shoulder has been removed, emergency refuge areas are spaced at regular intervals along the carriageway. These are the orange-bordered lay-by areas with SOS telephones. They are the designated safe places to stop if your vehicle has a mechanical problem, a tire blowout, or any kind of emergency. The rule is this. If your vehicle breaks down or develops a serious fault on an ALR motorway, you must attempt to reach an emergency refuge area before stopping. You must not stop on the live carriageway unless your vehicle is completely unable to move. Stopping in an active lane, even briefly, puts you at risk of a serious collision and may result in enforcement action. What has changed recently is the follow-on rule about what happens once you are in an emergency refuge area. You must not leave it and re-enter the live motorway until your vehicle is confirmed roadworthy, and you must not linger longer than necessary. Cameras now monitor these areas, and National Highways actively tracks vehicles that enter them. If you break down and cannot reach one, you must put on your hazard lights immediately. Stay in your vehicle if it is safe to do so, keep your seatbelt on, and call 999 or use the emergency telephone to alert services. Leaving your vehicle on a live smart motorway carriageway and walking along the road is extremely dangerous and can also result in enforcement action. The penalty for misuse of an emergency refuge area, such as stopping in one when not in genuine distress or using one as a rest stop, can result in a fixed penalty notice. More seriously, failing to move to one during a breakdown when it was reachable and then stopping on the live carriageway can be treated as driving without reasonable consideration for other road users. What you must do is know where emergency refuge areas are on routes you regularly drive. They are marked with blue signs and orange edging. If you feel something wrong with your vehicle, unusual noise, warning lights, loss of power, begin moving to the left immediately and aim for the next one. Do not wait to see if the problem resolves itself. Rule 4. Mobile phone use and smart motorway cameras. You already know that using a handheld mobile phone while driving is illegal in the UK. But smart motorways have introduced a new layer of enforcement that is catching drivers who thought they were being careful. Since 2023, the UK has had some of the strictest hands-free laws in Europe. The law makes it illegal to hold a phone while driving, even if you are stationary in traffic, even if the engine is off but you are parked on the carriageway, and even if you are only briefly glancing at a sat-nav app you have not mounted properly. On smart motorways, the new enforcement capability comes from AI-assisted cameras. Several forces, including those covering the M1 corridor and sections of the M6, have trialled and in some cases deployed cameras capable of detecting handheld mobile phone use inside vehicles. These cameras use overhead gantries and roadside positions to photograph drivers through windscreens and windows. The penalty for mobile phone use while driving is £200 and 6 penalty points. For a new driver still within their first 2 years of holding a license, 6 points means an automatic revocation. Your license is gone and you must reapply from scratch. For experienced drivers, 6 points puts you halfway to a totting up ban. The new element here is that the cameras are not relying on a police officer spotting you. They are automated, always on, and the footage is reviewed. You do not need to be pulled over. A letter arrives weeks later. What you must do is mount your phone properly in a fixed holder before you start your journey, set your route before you move, and use voice commands if you need to change anything en route. If you need to interact with your phone in any way, exit the motorway at the next junction and park safely before doing so. There is no situation where a phone call or a text message is worth 6 points and £200. Rule 5. Tailgating and the 2-second rule on smart motorways. The final rule is one that many drivers genuinely underestimate, and on smart motorways it is being enforced in ways that are new and expanding. Tailgating, following the vehicle in front too closely, is a careless driving offence under the Highway Code. Rule 126 requires drivers to leave at least a 2-second gap in normal conditions and a 4-second gap in wet weather. On smart motorways, where traffic flow is managed electronically, following distances become even more critical because vehicles can be forced to slow rapidly when speed limits change overhead. What is new is that enforcement of tailgating on motorways has increased significantly. Police using National Highways cameras can review footage and issue fixed penalty notices for careless driving, where a driver is shown to be maintaining an unsafe following distance. The standard penalty is £100 and 3 points, but careless driving taken to court can result in a fine of up to £5,000, 9 penalty points, or even a disqualification. Some forces have been working with the DVLA and camera operators to flag patterns of dangerous following behaviour, particularly in sections of managed motorway where sudden speed changes are common. Drivers who flash their lights to intimidate the vehicle in front, a behaviour associated with tailgating and sometimes used to bully drivers out of the outside lane, can also face charges for using the vehicle in a menacing manner or driving without due care. What you must do is maintain the 2-second gap as a minimum at all times on the motorway. A simple way to measure it is to watch the vehicle in front pass a fixed point, a bridge, a sign, a road marker, and count 2 full seconds before you reach that same point. In rain, double it to 4 seconds. If traffic slows suddenly on a smart motorway, having that gap gives you the stopping distance you need. So there you have it, 5 smart motorway rules that are active right now, that are being enforced right now, and that are landing real fines and real penalty points on real drivers across the United Kingdom every single week. Let us go through them one more time quickly. Number 1. Never drive in a lane marked with a red X. It is closed, not just a caution. Number 2. Variable speed limits are legally binding the moment they appear on the gantry sign above your lane, and average speed cameras will catch you if you exceed them. Number 3. If your vehicle breaks down on an all-lane running motorway, get to an emergency refuge area. Do not stop on the live carriageway unless you have absolutely no other choice. Number 4. Mobile phone detection cameras are now active on key motorway routes, and 6 penalty points for a single offence is not something you want to discover the hard way. And number 5. Tailgating on a managed motorway is careless driving. Give the vehicle in front a proper gap, because the cameras are watching and the penalties are serious. The UK's motorway network is changing fast. Smart motorways are being upgraded, cameras are being added, and enforcement is ramping up. The drivers who know the rules are the ones who stay safe, keep their licenses clean, and avoid handing over their hard-earned money in fines. The drivers who assume the rules are the same as they were 5 years ago are the ones who end up on the wrong end of a notice of intended prosecution. Knowledge is your best protection. Share this video with someone you know who drives regularly on UK motorways, a family member, a colleague, a friend who does long-distance commuting. You might just save them a serious headache. And if you want to stay ahead of every fine, every rule change, and every new enforcement development on UK roads, subscribe to UK Fines Alerts. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. We cover speed camera changes, new road laws, ULEZ updates, parking enforcement, and everything else you need to know to keep your license clean and your wallet in your pocket. Subscribe to UK Fines Alerts right now. Your driving license will thank you.